Hello friends, today I will introduce to you the hit Hollywood movie. This girl has been massacred by a gang in the wedding, forcing her to live in a vegetative state for more than 4 years. When she regains consciousness, she begins to execute her revenge plan. However, revenge is also not an easy thing because confronting her is a notorious assassin gang. What is the end of the story? Please listen to this movie with me. Beatrix is an assassin in an assassin organization because of an unwanted pregnancy, so she washed her hands and left her sword to stay away from the life of killing to enjoy life like normal people. But the organization did not easily forgive her. On her wedding day, the head of the organization, Bill, ordered 4 assassins to kill everyone at the wedding. After the massacre, the whole hall was left with only dead bodies. Beatrix on her deathbed told Bill, the child in her belly is Bill's child, hoping Bill respects to forgive her and her child. But Bill didn't care but still ruthlessly shot her in the head. Of course she couldn't die so soon. The police quickly arrived at the scene and took her to the hospital. Although he was saved, Beatrix became a vegetable. Then an assassin named L broke into the hospital with the intention of taking the opportunity to kill Beatrix, but as she was about to strike, a call came in telling her to stop. Assassinating while Beatrix is in a coma is an act that will lower the honor of the organization. So she once again escaped death. But she was in a coma for the next 4 years. Years later, she suddenly woke up. Beatrix touched her stomach. There were no more children. At this time, she was horribly attacked by Bill's child, which he also ruthlessly killed. Suddenly there were footsteps approaching. Beatrix pretends to lie down. A male nurse walks up to lead a man. They made a dirty deal. From what they said, this transaction isn't the first time it's happened. However, this time the top killer Beatrix has woken up. He climbs into bed to perform his usual bestiality when suddenly Beatrix opens his eyes and kills him instantly. Unable to lie down anymore, she wanted to get out of bed but fell over because Beatrix's legs had been lost for 4 years. She had to think of a way to escape as quickly as possible. Not long after, he entered the room. But she used her superior skills to gently handle the man. She also found a car key on him. Using a wheelchair to go down to the parking lot, she quickly found the nurse's car. When she opened the car door, she quickly climbed into the car. Her legs had no strength, so she could only use the force of her hands to the point where sweat ran down her face. But in order to remind her not to give up, she finally sat down. Get on the car. Beatrix understands that if she wants revenge, her legs must return to normal. Finally walk normally. She then drove away from the hospital's parking garage. On her way to revenge, she goes to California, begins to carry out her plan. She started ringing the doorbell of a house that opened the door to Green, an assassin who had kicked a Beatrix 4 years ago. Not letting the opponent wait long, she attacked first. They fought from the living room to the kitchen and then to the bedroom, to the point of destroying all furniture in the. When she was in a rush, it was time for Wynn's daughter to come home from school. When the little girl opened the door to see everything, her appearance made the 2 men have to hide their weapons. They don't want the child to see this killing. After all, the resentment of adults has nothing to do with children. That would turn into a never-ending vengeance. She only takes revenge. When she left the Green, she took the initiative to make the mistake of Beatrix and admit that these years she has always lived in guilt. But what has been done can't be changed. Only hope Beatrix respects the Green's little daughter and spares the Green a lifeline. But Beatrix doesn't respect the sufferings of ordinary people who can't understand the hatred that can't be erased. She was determined to make other people suck blood to pay with blood. Beatrix agrees not to take revenge here to avoid her psychological damage. The 2 people promised to meet in the evening to fight outside, but the Green surreptitiously pulled out a gun and shot. The result of the Beatrix ended with the cross that hit the Green chest and died on the spot. Seeing the little girl being threatened was dumbfounded. Beatrix said when she grows up, she wants to find her revenge. She will wait. Then leave. Then there's the even stronger dramatist. Beatrix knows he needs a sharp weapon. A sword is the right choice. So she flew to Japan alone. She went to see the best breeding man in Japan. He had washed his hands and put down his sword, not wanting to continue to be a weapon for people to kill. But when he heard that Beatrix wanted to kill, Bill couldn't help but care because Bill was his disciple. The sins that Bill has committed he cannot ignore. He let her use his sword to practice for a month here. In a month he will make a great sword. After a month, the sword will be completed. He personally gives the sword to Beatrix and asks her for the sword to destroy evil. The second person she had to face was Ishii. At the wedding that day, she was the most cruel. Ishita has both Chinese and Japanese blood in her. Her situation is also very complicated. At the age of 9, she witnessed her parents being killed by a gangster. 2 years later, she practiced her murder skills and successfully killed her enemies to avenge her parents. Since then, Ishii became a professional assassin. Within a few years became the top killer. After the church tragedy that year, she returned to Japan and quickly became the leader of a gang in Japan. At a gang leader meeting, someone opposed her bloodline, assumed that Ishii's Japanese blood had been mixed as soon as she said that, causing her to get angry only to see her draw her sword and cut his head off his neck. This is called death by the mouth. This caused a stir. She then said she might doubt her leadership ability, but whoever questioned her bloodline, she would make sure that person ended up like this guy. After saying this, no one dared to oppose her. Ishii has since consolidated his position on the Gypsies, and Betrick is now on a flight to Tokyo. In this duel, she was determined to one-on-one with Ishii. She was wearing a yellow combat suit and driving a yellow car. When she was walking on the road, she accidentally met someone who was also her name is Shoppy. Now she has become Ishii's junior. Identifying the correct identity, Betrick calculated in his heart. In the gang conference, Betrick successfully infiltrated. She silently tried to observe the enemy, but was discovered by Ishii, causing Betrick to quickly hide in the toilet, but coincidentally encountered Sophie. So he kept her in front of Ishii, facing an enemy who was obsessed with the massacre back. Everything seemed like it was just yesterday. After dealing with Sophie, she slowly moved towards Ishii. Her bodyguards also quickly rushed over and were all killed by Betrick. At this time, there is another assassin girl coming down. She is only 17 years old. But the method of killing is extremely cruel. The weapon in her hand changes immeasurably. If she is unfortunate enough to take a hit, it will definitely be a hit. Will die looking at such a young assassin. Betrick. It will definitely be a hit. Will die looking at such a young assassin. Betrick. Such a young assassin. Betrick. She disobeyed and started the fight. Her fighting strength could not be underestimated. With just a few moves that defeated the weapon in the hand of Betrick. Turned the tide. Betrick was in a weak position. She was wrapped around a chain around her neck. Betrick quickly used the nailed plank under her feet to counterattack and kill her. Not have time to rest, a group of underlings rushed in. Even though the enemy was numerous, they could not defeat the main character. The subordinates also died like ants. Extremely brutal scene. Betrick is free to kill. When there was only one Betrick left, he broke his weapon but didn't want to kill innocent people. After teaching him at a young age, he tried to become a gypsy and spared his death. Now the bald assassin comes out to sword fight with Betrick. Both of them fought for a while, but he was no match for Betrick, so in the end there was only Ishii left. Ishii approached them step by step in the snow to begin the final duel. Betrick used a sword and the opponent used 2 swords to duel the 2 strongest assassins. Just make a mistake and you will surely die after a few hundred moves. The longer you fight, the more Ishii will lose your breath very quickly. And opening a sword stabbed Ishii to death. Blood dyed the snow red and Ishii fell to the ground. Finally, she tied her Sophie and threw her in front of the hospital gate. Her goal is to get through Sophie to let Bill know that Betrick is back. Will find him. Bill, when received, also revealed the secret to Sophie that Betrick's daughter is still alive. Who is Bill after all? Will Betrick get revenge? Where is the girl? All these questions will be answered in the sequel of the movie. The movie ends here. Remember to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell to follow the next good footage. Goodbye and see you again.